Hey everybody, welcome. My name is Matthew. Thank you very much for joining. Today we're going to take a look at the pound sterling, that is the currency of the United Kingdom, and we're going to take a look at the monetary base of said currency. I've talked about this many times. What is the monetary base? It is physical cash in a society, which is printed by the central bank. So those are the notes, the coins, anything in your wallet, anything you see in a grocery store till, as well as the reserve account at the central bank. What is the reserve account? That is every account, think of it like a bank account, that every individual bank in the system holds with the central bank. Those things together are the monetary base. That is the main monetary liability of the central bank. So this is also called base money. It's called outside money. It's outside the financial system. I have a chart here going back to the end of 2008. Why? Because we're going to compare it to Bitcoin in this video. But before we get to that, let's just take a look here. This is in pound sterling. So remember, the global financial crisis happened in the fall of 2008, and a lot of what they called quantitative easing occurred after this. This is simply the central bank printing money to bail out society. So we had less than 100 pounds worth of currency here in January 2009, and by mid-year we had doubled that to 200 billion. Then a couple of years later we had another round of QE. We take it to 350 billion sterling, and then you can see it goes up again here even in 2018. The US, by the way, was not printing money during this time, but the United Kingdom was. Take it up to 572 billion. Many different facilities they call, these different sort of lending facilities. You can find them on the Bank of England's balance sheet. And then of course COVID, the big one, where we go from 562 billion, almost double, to over £1 trillion. Okay, so in January 2022 or thereabouts, the top is over £1 trillion sterling. So when you see this number go up, this is actually the printing press. This is the definition of the printing press. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Don't let anybody try to fool you into some other sort of a definition. This is the definition of the printing press of a nation, of the printing press of a currency. It's the monetary base. We see that they've tried to, a nice word they like to say is normalize the balance sheet, ease off the money printing. Okay, so they've contracted their balance sheet by about 150 billion over the last couple of years, since this peak of over £1 trillion sterling to where we are today. It's about $858 billion worth end of July. I'm recording this mid-August 2024, end of July, $856 billion of pound sterling base money out in the system. Now, as I said, we're going to compare this to Bitcoin, and we could put Bitcoin into pound sterling terms, but that's not as efficient. Most of the world internationally thinks in terms of dollars, so I'm going to do that with the sterling as well. Before World War I, the sterling was indeed the world's reserve currency, but it's a totally different world in the last 100 years, and we're going to put this in dollars. Okay, so simply by multiplying by the, what they call the cable rate, or the dollar sterling exchange rate, we can get to this. Okay, so the dollar is weaker than the sterling. It's always been much weaker, but that gap is closing. That means if you want to look at this in dollar terms, the dollar amount of the same quantity of money will be higher. Not going to go through it. You can see a little bit more fluctuations here. Why is that? More than the underlying base money itself. That's due to the exchange rate. So as the dollar value gets closer to the sterling value, that means the dollar is getting stronger. As the dollar value gets away from the sterling value, that means the dollar is getting weaker. I'm not a exchange rate specialist, but it's just interesting to see over the years how the dollar actually got weaker here relative to sterling. The US indeed printed a lot of money, even more money respectively than the Brits. So that £1 trillion sterling equated to about $1.5 trillion if you looked at it in dollar terms. And then you see the normalization here, even with some exchange rate fluctuations. Taking a moment to remind you that this show is brought to you by Trezor, home of the original Bitcoin hardware wallet. For over 10 years now, Trezor means business in Bitcoin security and functionality. When using their wallet software Trezor Suite to connect to the Bitcoin network, you're automatically connected via Tor, protecting your identity and giving you full control of your coins in a fully open source manner, both on the software level and on the hardware level. So head on over to Trezor.io to grab your brand new Trezor Safe 5 with a secure element, as well as a ton of available accessories to back up your keys and keep your coins safe. All right, So finally, let's just put the Bitcoin cap on. This is linear scale, everything in linear scale here. Not going to go through the past, obviously. This is even better, I think, just to keep it in linear. We can see how small Bitcoin was. Market cap is a valuation of the network. All coins outstanding at any given time multiplied by the price. So we see that the value of the network is just a flea here, obviously, in 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016. And we do see finally a bump that really makes a difference is the 2017 bull run, which occurred after the block size wars concluded. Bitcoin got up to $20,000 per Bitcoin, fell back down, so on and so forth. And we had a double top here in 2021. Bitcoin got to, let's zoom in, got close to overtaking sterling. Remember, we're going to use apples to apples. This is dollar terms. Sterling monetary base was about $1.37 trillion. Bitcoin peaked in November 2021 at about $1.27 trillion. So only $100 billion, quote, only $100 billion less, but very, very close in value to the sterling monetary base. Then, of course, as happens with the cycles, Bitcoin retreats, went down to $15,000, $16,000 per Bitcoin. More volatile at the moment than even the base money sterling balance sheet, which, by the way, is the 5th largest balance sheet in the world. You have the Federal Reserve, you have the European Eurozone, ECB, Euro, you have the Japanese yen, Bank of Japan's yen, and you have the Chinese yuan, PBOK. Those are the big four. Sterling is the 5th. And as we can see, I've talked about this before, but let's just zoom in and let's just take off pounds so you understand exactly what we're comparing to. Okay, so this is the dollar value of the monetary base of sterling here in green and Bitcoin's dollar value of the network in black. We saw in February 2024 for the first time ever, Bitcoin in valuation terms passed the royal British pound sterling monetary base. Very exciting. Okay, and of course, the financial news doesn't know how to calculate this, is not going to tell you this, doesn't want to talk about this, but Bitcoin was larger than the famed monetary base of British pound sterling here in February, March 2024. Stayed sideways like that for a while in valuation terms. We've had a dip here in the last month, early July. Let's see if it actually went under. Kind of kissed the value of sterling in dollars, but didn't really go back under. And now we're back up above again as we're around $60,000 Bitcoin. We're actually a little bit lower than this. We're right about $1.2 trillion market cap valuation as of this recording, but a nice comfortable buffer here. All right, we see we're at $1.1 trillion in monetary base value of the sterling in dollars, $1.1 trillion. Bitcoin at $1.275 trillion right now. So far, so good. Bitcoin is holding its value above the monetary base of the pound sterling, of the 5th largest currency in the world, of the oldest fiat currency in the world. Certainly the oldest modern central bank fiat currency. You could argue that the Swedish krona is older, but nonetheless, pretty remarkable to see that Bitcoin in a mere 15, 16 years has passed the valuation of the British pound sterling. Let me know what you think of this in the comments. Thanks for watching.